I was teaching kitesurfing to a guy called Joseph, and he claimed to be able to stay upwind, yet he was struggling. The wind was about 15 knots, so it's not too light to stay upwind, obviously not crazy strong, but he should have been able to do this on a 13-meter kite. I was puzzled. I was thinking maybe I misjudged the conditions. So I took over his kite, I went for a spin on this kite, and I came back and I was surprised. That was well powered. This is when it struck me that the way you ride, your riding style, does affect the power you experience on a kite. Hi, my name is Zolty and I teach kitesurfing for a decade now. I do weird tutorials where I try to catch the concepts, and once you understand these concepts, you can apply them everywhere in kitesurfing. And I believe this will make you a much better kiter. It will make your turns better, your jumps better, and everything later. So stick with me if you think that you are a passive rider. So what is a passive rider? A passive rider is everyone, and likely you too if you are a beginner in your first 2-3 years. A passive rider can do everything. This is not something negative. A passive rider can ride, can stay upwind, can do jumps, do transitions, and basically anything. Yet he is missing out on something. Riding passively, however, has a benefit. It's kind of relaxing, easier. But when you want to have more power, when you want the kite to be more reactive, when you want to be explosive, it's time to change to be an active rider. After my short ride and realization that there is power in the kite, I went back to Joseph and I was about to give back to him the kite. And he told me like, nah, I don't think the wind is enough for me, let's just call it a day. And I told him like, no, you're gonna get your ass and go out now, because what are you about to learn is going to change everything in kiting for you. And so it was. Within 15 minutes, he was able to rip and go up and down with a massive smile on his face, and ever since, he is an active rider. Who is an active rider? Well, every pro is an active rider. They have a massive weight behind their board, their kite turns faster, there's more power in the kite, and everything is just better for the sake of having more power. So if that's your goal, it's great to be active. Riding actively has a downside though. It's kind of tiring. Every active rider switches back to ride passively time by time. So you see, this is not a bad or good riding, it's rather a way of riding. And once you understand how to do it, it's going to make a big impact on your whole kiting. So what is going on here? It's the same kite, the same wind, the same person, and it suddenly feels more power just because you're changing the riding style? Yes. Whole kiting is all about the tension. How much tension you are able to generate on the lines. And as a beginner, we tend to focus on the kite itself. Of course, we can move it and then it pulls us, right? But there's something you can do with yourself once you have a given speed and a given power in your riding. And that's edging. What I did with Joseph on the radio, and by the way, I'm really pissed when seeing lessons without a radio. You gotta get a lesson with a radio assistant. Get the timing well. I told him when and how much to lean back and how much progressively add more leaning back, creating more line tension. We often need someone to help us to reach this phase, and maybe you too. And there's two things you have to understand first. Braking and edging is a two different concept. Edging is keeping the same direction and angling your board, creating more drag in the water, displacing more water. However, we often tend to edge, leaning towards our back shoulder, making the board open up more upwind. and that's braking. And if you do that, well, eventually you will slow down, you will lose the speed you had, and you will go back to the water and you will feel like, oh, there's not enough wind. The second concept you have to understand is timing. This only works when the power is in the building phase. If your power is already dropping and you do this, well, you will kill the rest of it. So, when to do this and how to do this. Fix a point on the beach, somewhere crosswind, riding that way, lean back a little more, lean back a little more, and even more, and then see how long you can hold this much of an edge. If you do it correctly, behind you there will be a massive wave, and what you will feel, there is so much more power in the kite. Remember, this is not for all the time, but it is something that most of the time you will love to do. Hope it helped, and let me know how is it going for you. Getting a little stormy here, huh?